A spiritually advanced woman having more than one man enter her portal to help them spiritually evolve is not seen as immoral in the eyes of the Most High. My name is Asha Sekhmet, and I am a tantra practitioner, oracle, spirit guide, thought leader, and my purpose is building a sovereign community based on like-minded souls to become closer to the Creator without strict religious doctrine. We have the Maji community. We practice polygamy and polyamory, tantra, sovereignty, and tribalism. So let's talk about this concept because I have recently been putting more information about functional polyamory, and this concept can get triggering to Black men in my community if they, one, do not fully understand the type of sexual practices that we practice in our community. They're going to look at it from a Western perspective and a European perspective that's not our culture. And then also, they're not going to view it the right way if they have not released the patriarchy conditioning of thinking like white men and the cultural ideologies that they have taken on from their religions, right? So when I'm speaking from this perspective, I am a vessel for the Most High to act out its will. It does not mean that I am perfect, right? I'm still in human form. However, I get direct channels from the Most High. And whenever I'm doing something that my humanness is affecting or not receiving properly in terms of the messages, I have checks and balances in my community to accommodate for that. So let's get into this topic. It is not immoral, right? Just the concept of a highly spiritually evolved woman having sex with more than one man in her community to help them spiritually evolve, that is not immoral. And in fact, based on our life system in the Mahi community, we have female healers in the art of tantra. So this is going to make a woman more spiritually evolved. This means that we teach in our formal indigenous wifehood trainings how to elevate your husband using your sexual power. If you, as a Black man, have never experienced something like this, do not even know what this is, then it's about being humble. You don't know what you don't know, right? You can't even properly assess what this is. One thing that could be happening in terms of hearing about wife sharing being practiced in different communities and cultures is that it's jealousy, right? You don't want to accept that there are cultures that practice a concept of wife sharing, that there are tribes across the globe that practice wife sharing. Yes, it is not as common as husband sharing. However, it does exist in different communities in different countries all over the world, including in America. So this means that when a man gets this information and he wants to reject that this is a reality for some communities, that's just his own projection because he's not secure in himself internally, because the thought of his wives or or his wife just being exposed to an idea of that, he is insecure. A man like that shouldn't even be practicing any form of polygamy. Only secure men should be practicing polygamy because he has reached a spiritual level that he is not possessive of his wife. So he can have the capacity to take on more wives in the community because he's at a higher spiritual level. A much larger conversation needs to happen when we're talking about Black men in America and, by and large, the sexual development. In this area, Black men have become sexually underdeveloped. And this has things to do with masturbation, pornography, how you were introduced to sex as a young male, and the lack of education of sex as a young male from a cultural perspective. And then growing into adulthood, and also when you lost your virginity and how that event happened. In most cases, it is not from a healthy and cultural perspective. So, with all of these different considerations, what has happened is Black men in America, by and large, having sexual underdevelopment. So, then when you start talking about advanced family structures like polygamy, and some tribes practicing wife sharing, it's so triggering because you are already not even at like like the normal developed standard for your culture in a community. Like you're already underdeveloped, so you're looking at it from an underdeveloped perspective, from a juvenile perspective, and trying to make an assessment or have an opinion about a concept of wife sharing, saying that if a woman allow more than one man in her portal, then it contaminates. It makes the woman impure, it's immoral, and then using biblical scriptures to back up your claim, right? Now, if you practice a religion, right, a European or Arabic religion, then you're going to take on those patriarchy and misogynistic ideologies. Okay, that's what you practice. We do not practice a religious doctrine in the Maji community. So you cannot violate a community's way of life. This means that all across the globe, there are variations of cultures, communities, tribes, even within Black people, that does not fall into organized religion. So you do not have a right, and it is a violation of a community sovereignty to go over into their community and tell them based on your doctrine what they are doing is wrong, a sin, or any perspectives that fall into your doctrine because they don't practice it. The creator made it so that there's various faiths so that as souls we can get into our community so that we can evolve. Another observation that I found was with the brothers who had shared with me their desire for their woman to either be penetrated by another man in their community, or develop a brotherhood with their woman that she has a relationship with in their community. It was also based in their desire of like more different types of sexual dynamics. So they're freaky, so to speak, right? Freaky from a positive perspective. Like they're curious and they're open-minded to the different ways that they can elevate through this. These are some of my observations and then kind of what I pieced together from what they had been telling me. One brother described when I asked, why do you want that? He said, because I'm a competitor. So it makes him more competitive because, you know, he pulls off that sexual energy, right? Again, if you're not a Black man who delves in that realm, that's not your modality, like, you know, sex and, you know, that realm of sexual energy and alchemy, then you're not going to understand that, right? But it's not anyone's right to judge a man because that is his reality, right? It could have something to do with his soul, in terms of who he is, right? And it could have something to do with his reincarnations, right? It could have something to do with his reverence for his woman, right? And it does not make a man less masculine. That is something that is very important to realize. Some of these Black men were speakers at business conferences I have been to, others who do other types of financial and business work. So, like I said, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know how people live their lives behind closed doors. And the Black men who are, um, you know, seeking a lifestyle that is like that. It would be practiced in various different ways, but all I am doing is just giving the functionality behind it. They're already living the lifestyle. I'm just giving functionality behind what we're doing. Some dynamics that I've seen with sharing women in the Black American community is I will see a brother and maybe two or one of his friends who got really close as friends after both of them ended the relationship with this same woman that they both was in a relationship with, and it became really close. Or you have dynamics where the a black man's baby mother and him getting really cool with her new relationship with the other brother. Or you could have fighting or clashing that's happening between them two. And it may be just coming from a place of trying to understand each other, right? So these are concepts of wife sharing, right? It's just one, the woman is not trained to be a wife. She doesn't know that. Two, there's no structure behind what's happening. And I've also seen dynamics like that where you have multiple Black American men having sex with the same woman, like passing her around. Now, one person could observe that and say negative things about the woman, say she tricking and she's a whore and all this stuff and running trains, right? But if we're talking about putting a culture back intact, it makes sense that, oh, okay, you probably just need to get trained in wife sharing so that this can be practiced functionally. So this is where we come in with the Maji community and our teachings with tantra, because without an advanced sexual practice, you'll get dysfunctional sexual dynamics like that, and baby mama drama and things like that, and fighting with your brothers in a community, and individualism and isolationism and an illusion of separatism, right? So these are just some of the solutions and the structures behind the various observations that is happening. A concept of wife sharing already exists in the Black community. I am just here to be a vessel to provide the structure and a curriculum for a woman who would ascend to this advanced level to actually do that, right? We already have a curriculum for husband sharing. These are examples of sexual disease that comes out of low human nature, like possession, jealousy, and things like that. Where why is it that we can get cool once neither of us are no longer in a relationship with the woman? That's dysfunctional. In these examples, it is Black men on a soul level desiring a more ascended and advanced form of brotherhood. They may not know consciously, but subconsciously, this is why some are sharing women in their community dysfunctionally. So Tantra is an antidote to this problem in a community. And this is what a culture is. Remember, culture is cultivating solutions to community problems. So this is what we have in the Maji community. We have a culture. Wife sharing is not going to be practiced amongst all brothers in our community. However, there'll be different types of dynamics in which men in our community learn how to not possess their wives so that we're able to achieve community collectivism, because we have female healers in our community. So this means that, a sister could have a tantra partner, and this is what a brother in the community that's helped elevating their marriage that she has with her husband. And of course you have the concepts of the co-parenting, and also multiple parental figures. You may have a brother in the community that she grows a relationship with that is completely platonic, and she see that her son develops a really good relationship with this brother in the community, and now we have some type of brotherhood between the brothers, right? This is still a concept of wife sharing, even though it's platonic and it doesn't involve sex, right? Again, you're not going to understand this if you are in another community, but that's the whole point, right? You're not going to understand that. So if, of course, this does not align with your religious doctrine or your community's way of life, then that's okay, right? That's okay. We don't judge other people's ways of life or say that anything is wrong with it or even wrong with the solutions that you come up for your community, right? For the brothers in the Maji Community Life System, these are the most spiritually evolved and advanced men in our community. We represent a community of superior man and superior woman existing as God on planet Earth. We have a structure and a pathway to transcend our humanity. So, yes, if this doesn't align with you, then find your community. We're peaceful here, and it is not our role to go in other communities and uh, just compare, right? The beauty of this human existence is that even within Black people as a race, you have various communities, tribes, and cultures that one could go to. So find your tribe, find your community. Be wary of women who are feminists and say that they want multiple men because you desire polygamy for nation building, because you all are not coming from the same consciousness, right? In this whole scenario of what I'm talking about, we're talking about a spiritually advanced woman. If she's spiritually advanced, she would not be saying that so loosely that she wants multiple men. In fact, she probably wouldn't even desire that because of the complexity and how much work it takes to actually do something like that. So, brothers, just be weary of that. A woman who's being competitive and she's, you know, definitely a woman could take advantage of you gaining higher spiritual awareness and having a reverence for Black women. Um, if she, the way that you would know if a woman is worthy of wife sharing is reflective on the type of wife she is. If you can't say that she's a great wife, then no, absolutely not. She would be terrible for wife sharing, let alone if she even is a wife, right? So a woman has to have proper wifehood trainings to be able to do this in a most high and advanced form, because she's mending a brotherhood. If she doesn't understand any of that or is trained by a master in a community, no, she should not be doing that. And especially if she has not practiced and mastered husband sharing with sisters in her community. If she doesn't even do that, absolutely not. That's ego. So I just wanted to, put y'all on game for that as well. In closing, I just want to say that if you are a Black man who you've had thoughts about this kind of stuff, you have been in situations where, you feel like you have a desire to grow more sexually in your development, but you haven't found safe space to talk about it with people. You don't want to be judged. I am a safe space. I am a tantra practitioner. You can schedule either a men's spiritual guided session with me, or definitely also tantra. So I have tantra sessions that you can book with me, and we can work to help you develop sexually. And even Black men who desire, right, this polygamous lifestyle, which is spiritual, right? You are not going to have a successful polygamous lifestyle without elevating spiritually, right? This is what we teach in the Maji community. So we have a life system here. We have the tools, we have the resources, and to be able to become more secure in yourself, connecting with your soul so that you can, be the highest and greatest version of yourself, and also living in your purpose so that you can attract, quality women who will be polygamous in your community, Black women. And for us to work in a collective, you need to schedule a one-on-one with me, schedule a tantra session, and then I also offer polyamory consultations as well. If you have your mate and also want your mate involved with the Maji community, you can book on www.ashasekhmet.com. Let me know your thoughts. If you have any questions, any experiences that you want to share under this video, you can. If it's private, I definitely understand. Do not, put something that's too vulnerable to, be attacked and criticized. You can just share it with me personally. We can, hop on a call and you can share, kind of what you're going through. I want to also disclose that I do not have expertise in homosexuality and homosexual relationships. Those are not my area of expertise. My area of expertise in the Maji community is heterosexual polygamous relationships and marital structures. So if you do not fall into that, if there's gray areas with that, those are not my expertise. All right, guys, it has been real. Let me know any questions in the comments. I will see you all in the next video.